keep on kissing babies and hugging fat girls.
He's alive! Kane is alive, Undertaker!
You are a sniveling little suck-up sellout full of suffering succotash, son!
It's me, Austin! Oh, son of a bitch! What? It's me, Austin! It was me all along, Austin! And your t-shirts are too tight too, Billy! And you book a match with me against Ryan Keelan! Look at me! I'm a total package! I will rip him apart! I'm pissed now!
Where to, Stephanie?
Wrestle Roasts on ad-free shows and ATC. Welcome everybody to Wrestle Roasts and the roast of Cindy Lauper. We got some awesome shows coming up. Randy Orton next week. Then we're because it's gonna be Thanksgiving week. We're doing a replay of the Teddy Hart and New Jack roast. We're gonna put those two together. Then we got Andre the Giant Suzuki, Charlotte Foley, year-end awards. A ton of stuff coming up for our $5 Patreon. If you're part of the best deal in Patreon history, we're going to have an MLW review, Never Say Never, that we're recovering this Monday. So that'll be there. I just watched it. There's two really good matches in it. QT Marshall, the wrestler. Then we're off. Then we got the Roast of Ryback, mailbag. There's another mailbag. Then we got Jingle All the Way 2. Then we're off. And day one review. Then the Roast of Inoki. So if you're a $10 tier person, we're going to be probably doing Raw this Monday, right, Robert?
Yeah, it's the Go Home Raw before Survivor Series, biggest show of the year.
All right, maybe we'll cover that. Please leave a 5-star review. Leave comments. Show on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Me and Robert are selling shirts on our page. We got Tyler Falbo is the creator of Moral Compass, starring Bill Burr, coming up. I was lucky enough to write on that show, but he's going to be joining with us for We Must Hate Ourselves World Cup when we get into Eugene and that 70s guy later. Also, I wanted to talk to you guys about, because we were thinking about kind of changing the format a little bit in 2022 and just doing one roast a month, and then the rest of them would be theme shows. Similar to some of the stuff that we do on Patreon, that would be up top. We would still cover modern wrestling. We'd still have high spot and low spot. We were just thinking about, just saving only like one Patreon roast and then one regular roast a month. And kind of like, think about it as almost like a mishmash of, Wrestle Roast and Total Effing Marks, I guess. Anyway, tweet at us, let us know what's going on and what you guys prefer. We'd love to hear from you. Now, when we get to my amazing co-hosts, Mike Lawrence, Robert Carpula, Scott Chaplin, and Zachary Million, how's everyone doing? We'll start with you, Robert.
I'm doing great. It's Veterans Day here. I was telling the guys I just spent the entire day watching wrestling all day. So thank you for me never getting drafted.
Hey, let's salute to Sergeant Slaughter, who actually never served. Mike, how you doing?
I am good. And what people may not realize, the rest of us are still on the Zoom when Dan does that intro. So we're just sitting here singing lives. What went wrong? What somewhat is going right?
Waiting for a dog bark.
I was saying too, yeah, because Robert said he's watching wrestling on Veterans Day. Yeah, wrestling, the sport with the least amount of veterans.
Hey, the Monday Night Wars count.
Fucking.
We're kind of talking about one next week, Randy Orton, but
Yeah, but wrestling is more of a Memorial Day.
Yeah, I also feel like they're treated the same when they return home from the road,
I mean, it's really, you throw a quarter into the lobby of a Salvation Army, you're going to hit either a vet or a wrestler. You know what I mean?
Coco Beware. Yeah.
A vet in a wheelchair looks at Virgil in a subway and goes, "Yeah, we're the same."
Scott, you were
thanks him for serving.
Yeah.
Scott, you were at Skankfest this past weekend. Luckily, you were not injured in the concert that was going on in Houston.
Yes,
and if you would have told me that there was a disaster from last weekend in Houston, and it wasn't Skankfest, I would have been like, "You're out of your fucking mind."
Oh,
You're out of your mind. But it was a fun. You have fun.
Yeah, man, it was great. A lot of fans of the podcast actually came up to me and said how much they like it and stuff, and how my takes are better than all of you guys, and how AEW is number one. That's what they said. They
That's
said
what
it
I would
like
expect
that.
from people at an event called Skankfest.
It's just Zach Amigo in different wigs.
Yeah, they were half throwing up, like it was like in between throwing up, but.
Yeah.
I also feel like we're way more amicable than people think sometimes. Like, we're not that. We're like. I think there was like one episode where it was the three of us against you because you really were fucking wrong on something. But
No way, that's impossible.
We agree.
Yeah.
Well,
man.
yeah. Oh, of course. I think it's very obvious we agree in the sense that, most of our shows are spent talking about the Dynamite that week or something.
Yeah, I mean, we're shitting on Dynamite when it was like 20-minute QT Marshall segments, and like there was a lot of bad stuff in the last year and a half, and it is better now.
Amen.
Look, we are going to get to the bright side of Cyndi Lauper. We are going to get to the roast of Cyndi Lauper, but until then, we're going to talk about some breaking news. Becky Lynch finally commented on this Charlotte situation, and raises some eyebrows. I'm gonna read through it.
But by the way, still hasn't commented on the Charlottesville situation.
No, I don't think we need a wrestler's opinion on that, do we?
I mean, Jackson Riker still has a job, so yes, I want to know his take on this.
Like he was like, I think both sides had a valid point.
Okay, well, she was asked.
Bret Hart.
Because I don't do voices.
That's a pretty good voice.
So she was asked by Sports Illustrated, who's helped us out before. So shout out Sports Illustrated. They were asked about the backstage incident. This was when Becky reportedly got into Charlotte Flair's face after Charlotte went off script for their championship segment a couple weeks ago. When she was asked about the backstage incident, Becky responded, "I don't know, man. We don't talk anymore. We don't talk. So all I say is the locker room needs a hero sometimes, and sometimes somebody's got to be a hero. I'm all right being that hero. That's what I'll say on that matter." And then the person asked whether having real life heat with an opponent makes things more difficult. Becky said, "Oh, 100% more difficult. Yeah. That's the thing. When you've got two people that are wanting to work together to make magic, then you make magic. Sometimes when there's hostility, when you can't trust the person, then you never know what's going to happen. You always have to be on guard. It's like a game of chess. You have to be thinking 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps ahead. What are they going to do? How am I going to handle this? If they do this, if they do that, whatever. This business is built on trust and working together. That's the art of it. That's the beauty of it. So my question is this a work? Are there, I mean, it's the only match in Survivor Series that now has a little heat on it. Robert, what's your feeling? Do you think this is a work? They're playing it up. How real do you think all this is?
This is the workiest work that ever worked. This is a dead pay-per-view that nobody cares about. You had the most tame situation occurred during a segment where Charlotte went into business for herself, with air quotes, because I think she did, by throwing the belt down. It's not enough to actually spark any sort of real animosity. This is them trying to build a little bit of intrigue. She did this, she being Charlotte. Charlotte did this with Nia Jax when they started shooting on each other during a match, and people got interested in it for a week, and now Nia Jax doesn't work there anymore. But this feels very much like a work, because you're not going to put somebody out there to cut this kind of promo and build a match that's basically somebody saying, yes, we really don't like each other, and that's going to be unsafe. Like, WWE is not going to let something like that happen. So they're going to let what's probably to some degree dislike from each other, they're building on it and telling a story, and that's going to get a lot more intrigue on Survivor Series during Full Gear Week.
Robert is representing Charlotte in his talks with AEW, though. I just want,
you know what? It's like the
disclaimer.
WWE. It's like WWE completely abandoned what Survivor Series means, which is those main Survivor Series elimination matches, and they've gone, oh well, the Brett Shawn controversy. Let's do that. And this Charlotte thing kind of feels like you're going to be watching it going, is she gonna do a job? And I wouldn't be surprised if they do some cornball callback.
Well, to
the
that end,
Montreal
Scott,
Screwjob.
did you watch Raw on Monday?
No.
They did for the first time in a year and a half, almost 2 years, they did a This Week in WWE, and it was the Montreal Screwjob.
Boom.
So they haven't done a This Week in WWE in at least 2 years. And then this is what they chose to bring up when you have the Charlotte Becky thing. So it's really funny that you mentioned that they're putting that seed in people's minds.
Yeah, I think Scott's 100% right. MC Lawrence, what's your opinion on this scandal?
I mean, I think the scandal is why is Sports Illustrated covering wrestling?
Clicks, Mike.
Was it sports choreographed? I think that, yeah, I mean, it feels like a work, and it's hard to care either way. I mean, it's also what's great about being a wrestling fan is at any moment you could just draw a line in the sand and be like, I'm not going forward. And I really still am upset about the Becky Bianca thing, and I have no interest in anything Becky does. So I don't give a shit.
Hey, I will say this though, Becky, man, I saw, and I've been watching clips of her since she's been back.
Very good heel.
Dude, she's just very good in general, and
Yeah.
Even if it's hard to care because of what she's being presented and how she was presented since she's been brought back and stuff. But I did see a clip of, I guess, after the show, her like struggling to walk to the back, beat up, and somebody screamed, "Your baby's cute," or something like that. And she goes, "She takes after me. I'm cute. I'm cute." Like as she's like beat up, running away, which I think is amazing.
Dude, she's like,
yeah, man, she's awesome.
Top 5 promos.
Yeah.
Man.
Dude, she's she reminds me of like an Irish Popeye. There's something very.
She's
Popeye
Conor
about her.
McGregor. She's doing Connor now.
Yeah, there you go. She's
that's
doing.
what she's
That's
doing.
what it is. There's a Popeye thing. Yep.
Well, the
Conor
thing
McGregor
is,
very
the
Popeye.
baby has her eye and Seth's voice.
Seth's line.
It's the only time you don't want to hear the baby cry when she comes.
I want a nipple.
She has to chew up worms for Seth.
Hey man, they're like, I will say this about Seth. Seth's the best thing on Raw right now by a country mile. So
I've heard.
Yeah, it is.
What country? What terrible country?
Guam. I don't know.
Ireland.
Yeah, Ireland. Let's do Ireland. I don't know. I just picked a tiny country. All right. Well, I think we've talked about this long enough. Unless Zach, do you have any inside scoop on this?
My favorite part of that is of the billions of countries you could have picked, you picked a U.S. territory.
Well, here's why is that I was reading about Guam today, so
I just love it. Was just so great.
My favorite country is America Samoa.
Zach, you got any inside scoops on this?
Nope.
All right, moving on.
Thank
By the
you,
way,
Zach.
he did
That's at
hear
least
you
more
the first-
honest than a lot of the other inside scoop guys who just like make up shit as they go along.
Yeah.
Anyway,
At least we know Charlotte and Becky wash their hands because they're still employed by the company. So we got that.
There are times, Scott, like to your point, like there are times where like I hear Conan and Disco Inferno talking about shit, and I'm like, this isn't even a controversy. You guys are just you guys created something.
Yeah, nuts.
All
They'll
right,
answer a fan question and the fan is wrong about a thing that happened, and then they'll laugh about it for 5 minutes, and it's a thing that the fan got inaccurate, Like
It's
it
almost-
never happened. You made that up. Yeah.
It's almost like a wrestling podcast kind of sucks unless it has structure and a theme and a point.
Welcome to Wrestle Roast, everybody.
Until
Two
we
guys
change
talking.
formats next year. Yeah.
Yeah, two guys talking. Who the fuck wants that?
Dude, this is pretty great, and I almost wish that we did this on accident once. And this is a big tell on Raw. But one time they reviewed an episode of Raw, Conan and those guys, and it was an episode from a year before, and they didn't even know. Like they just fucking reviewed it. They talked about it. They were like, "Yeah, that was weird, whatever," and then they released the episode. And everyone's like, that wasn't this week's Raw. That was from a year ago on that date or whatever. Yeah.
Well, Scott, think of how far back they have to go to talk about a show they were both on.
Yeah, it's a weird business, man. It's a very weird business. All right, let's get to the bright side of Cyndi Lauper. And there's a ton of bright side about Cyndi Lauper. I'll
Yeah,
run
what's
through
the
my
dark side? I'd like to hear.
yeah.
someone's
I
take
don't really
on
have a
that.
dark. I mean, like I wrote mean roast jokes, but it's like hardly any of them are even about her. You know.
Yeah.
Kayfabe accolades. She's got best musical theater album and new artist for the Grammys. She got an Emmy.
Wait, the Grammys are rigged?
Yeah, an Emmy for Mad About You, a Tony for Kinky Boots, the first ever MTV Music Award for Girls Just Want to Have Fun, a ton of like VH1, Rolling Stone, and MTV Best of list ever, Hollywood Walk of Fame. Only a matter of time before she's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. She's a awesome advocate for LGBT issues. I love Time After Time. I loved her music videos, man. I thought they were always a blast. They were like fun and campy. She seems like a good person, called out Trump, you know, even though she was on the show, which not everybody did, on The Apprentice. Performed at the 2008 DNC convention, was a guest for Obama's second inauguration. And most importantly, because of this podcast, I think that some of the credit of wrestling being put on the map deserves to go to Cyndi Lauper. Now, was it mostly Hulk Hogan and Mr. T? Was it mostly Hulk Hogan? Yeah, but like Cyndi Lauper was able to get on shows that normal wrestlers weren't able to get on and advertise it and bring in this pop culture MTV phenomenon into professional wrestling and completely transform the business. And she's a big part of that. That does not happen without Cyndi Lauper. Robert, what do you think, old Cyndi?
Cyndi Lauper's great. Obviously, I love any celebrity who's willing to use their spotlight to highlight the WWE, to highlight wrestling in general, to bring other eyeballs to the product. She was integral to the rock and wrestling thing. She was a huge star at this point in time. This was, it's hard to equate in 2021, but a few years ago, we're having this conversation. I'm like, this is if Katy Perry showed up at WrestleMania at the height of Katy Perry and didn't just show up for WrestleMania. She showed up to a ton of events. She did pre-tape. She did house shows for them. She was part of a lot of really fun segments. She would take the wrestlers and put them in her music videos. She would get them opportunities and exposure and treated the business properly. And her music, and listening to some of it, it's stuck in your head. You can't get it out. True Colors, I hate with a passion just because I used to love that song. And then Disney, the soulless corporation they are, made a Minnie Mouse toy that when you push the button was Minnie singing True Colors. Someone got it for my daughter when she was 2, and she would play that thing ad nauseum. Like, I still hear it in my sleep. I can close my eyes and all I hear is Minnie's high pitch True Colors. It's fucking blood curdling. Other than that, she's awesome. She uses her celebrity for the right way, otherwise to promote causes she cares about. And there's nothing bad that anybody has been able to say about her. She's one of those people who's been in the industry for a very long time without a wake of bodies in her path of people she's ruined. And that's a testament to Cyndi Lauper.
Mike?
Yeah, she fucking rules. I mean, here's the thing. It's like, it's so insane because, yeah, I was watching like clips and stuff, how much she integrated. Like, I mean, you look at like Bad Bunny bringing the title on SNL, and that's like one thing, but it's like the amount that she brings wrestling up everywhere. It's like she's talking to Johnny Carson in 1984 after doing the song Girls Just Want to Have Fun, and then making like wrestling references, and just like she just seriously goes, "Hey, do you know Captain Lou? He's a nice guy." And it's like, and she's like, you watch professional wrestling? And he literally goes, "Yeah, I mean, I watched when Gorgeous George was on, which was the fucking 50s. Like, she was pushing this so much. Yeah, the amount that wrestlers are in her videos. I mean, when Captain Lou passed, you could say to anyone, "Oh, the dad from the Girls Just Want to Have Fun" video. Like, that's an iconic thing. Yeah, I definitely think that just as much as Mr. T, like, I'll give Mr. T the nod a little bit because he was in a match, but she was very, very important. And you also have to think, because it's like, this is right when Vince buys the company. This is, we get some people from AWA, we get some people from Crockett, and now we have Cyndi fucking Lauper. We have this machine behind us. We have Muhammad Ali and all this stuff. She is very, very important to the history of WWE, if not the history of wrestling, and I think does one of the best solos in the "We Are the World" video. The way she goes,
yeah,
whoa,
man.
whoa, whoa, it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it sticks out. I love it too.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Scott, this is a Cyndi Lauper, obviously way before your time, way before our time too. But what do you think of the balladeer?
Man, I love her. She's one of my favorites. I mean, I have a lot of favorites, but I hold her in really high regard. I love her music. I think she's a great songwriter. I think it's really difficult to make hits that sound like that. Like, so there's a thing where when something's pop, you dismiss it and you can no longer analyze it because it's part of a machine, and so you have to talk about the corporateness of it all. But like, the truth is, Cyndi Lauper is, and I don't care what any musical writer says, she's fucking punk rock. She's rock and roll. What she did is super badass and super cool. I mean, if someone, if the group Blondie can get credit, like if Debbie Harry can get credit as like a really badass revolutionary, Cyndi Lauper should too. I don't care if she came off like a candy commercial. She's a pioneer. She's super badass. She, her and Madonna, to me, if I look back at again, I wasn't around in the 80s, but looking back in the way history is written, I go, oh, there was Madonna and Cyndi Lauper as the top women, kind of, and I would choose Cyndi Lauper every time. I think she's the shit. I like a lot of her songs.
Definitely a better hang than Madonna. It doesn't fucking use a
Yeah.
weird.
She has a
weird
pulse.
British accent.
Yeah, exactly. She seems super down to earth. Yeah, She's So Unusual is an all-time album, and the wrestling stuff I love for the same reason I love Andy Kaufman. There's something about when celebrities get into it, it reveals what wrestling really is, which is like so joyous and childlike, that when these people get involved in wrestling, even when Kaufman got serious with it, it's like there's something so adorable about pro wrestling. And I think Cyndi Lauper does a great job of presenting that and going, yeah, that's fun to like enjoy an absolutely absurd thing. Yeah, it's badass. And also, she's so tiny, and then to have like Hulk Hogan standing next to her at the Grammys or something, it just advances these guys so much. She's like 5'1" or something. But that's another thing. Yeah, she
was the perfect person for this because she was larger than life. Like you bring up Debbie Harry, you bring up Madonna, like, as many, they had, more hits probably than Cyndi Lauper, but you couldn't see them backstage, doing bits with like Don Morocco or something, and she made sense for that.
What is crazy is that, like, and I know we're going to talk about the Goonies video after the roast, but she kind of is like the Goonies of music. Like,
yeah.
Where it's like she's, the Goonies is like one of the most 80s movies ever, but it also is really timeless. And you can show it to like kids in terms of like, this is what that decade was. And it like fucking holds up. Like, I mean, people still listen to her big songs, time after time, still fucking holds up. But it also does feel very 80s, but that's fucking good sometimes.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, part of my
is
favorite
really
segment in the history of professional wrestling, bar none, in terms of what the fuck did I just see, was at the War to Settle the Score when she's backstage celebrating with Hulk Hogan, Mr. T, and Andy Warhol. It is one of those things where your brain is convinced you're doing drugs, even though you're not. When it's Andy Warhol next to Hulk Hogan at a WWF show at Madison Square Garden, what the fuck?
And this is four dudes.
It's like,
what were you saying, Mike?
Oh no, I was gonna say, like, this really was what Vince Jr. had that Vince Sr. didn't, like that he saw that and that he pursued it. And even though not all of it works or holds up, and there's a lot of, I mean, we talked about Mania 2 where they went overboard on quantity over quality of celebrities. But
that's why we're not doing the roast of Susan St. James tonight.
Yeah, but it's like, dude, like watch Mania 1 and then watch some of like the other companies and how fucking future forward WWF seems by comparison.
She's no RoboCop.
What are you gonna say, Scott? I'm sorry, buddy.
Oh, just that, we are four dudes talking about her. And I think, girls just want to have fun. I think every guy, there's a moment in his, it's childhood where you have to like rebel against girls just want to have fun for a moment. You have to go, no, well, God, then guys have more fun though. Like you're just a big dumb kid, I remember like boys just want to have guns was a thing that guys would say. And you go, all right, don't hurt anybody, you know how guys are. But I think girls just want to have fun is a goddamn anthem. I mean, it really is. And even though it's been beaten to death and there's something silly about it, it is really fucking powerful for those people. Like I remember being a kid and the Spice Girls were out, and I'm telling you that affected girls. It introduced them to like women's revolution. It's absurd, but it really did. Like, and that's that took 5 of them, and they couldn't do what Cyndi Lauper did.
Oh, a quick side note. Did you see the thing with Scary Spice?
No.
She called Sami Zayn a pussy.
She was at the house show and so Sami Zayn tweeted, Scary Spice just called me a pussy. And she replied, because you are. And there's a bunch of pictures of her backstage. Like that was fucking awesome. And that's the kind of stuff that if it wasn't for Cyndi Lauper, it wouldn't be cool to do that kind of stuff now and embrace it and love it.
That's the least controversial Sami Zayn's ever been on Twitter. I apologize. I should have gotten a girl for this. There's no excuse. I've been busy, guys. Otherwise, I would have.
There's also something Cyndi Lauper can do that the Spice Girls can't. Write her own songs.
I'll tell you what I want. What I really want. I'll tell you what I want.
Pinky Boots is I didn't see it, but it's fucked up my transition.
Dan was doing a bit, Scott. That's why the siren's going off. Scott Steiner's
Pinky
here.
Boots is a big deal.
Yeah, I announced she won Tony's for it and shit. Outer Critics Circle Awards.
Yeah. Okay. What do you really, really want? Tell me what you want. What you really, really
Cyndi
want.
Lauper rose.
Can you just imagine being in the room like her and Harvey Fierstein, where it's like, oh,
like, are they killing seals in there?
I'm just doing an impression of their voices without saying anything. I think that's a good song. I think we should take it again.
Both of those were Harvey Fierstein.
I sound like I had a rough night with Pat Patterson.
Hey, also she's the only person that Billy Joel has ever like co-written with, credit-wise. It's her, and he explains it in an interview, and it's so funny. It's like he's always denied everybody, and then he's like, well, except Cyndi Lauper, and then the explanation is, yeah, she was just there like, come on, what do you do? Like she just like cucked him into doing it, Just stop playing piano, I'll start singing.
Also, Cyndi Lauper been a recipient of the longest bright side in the history of our show.
Hey, don't be a wrestler, and maybe we'll like you.
Yeah. Contribute to actual society.
Yeah, she's no JBL.
Yeah.
All right, let's get this roast going. Mike, pick the order.
Scotty, you go first.
All right. She's Cyndi Lauper, or as the kids call her, Sharon Osbourne. She's a disheveled fairy woman, like Tinkerbell when the Lost Boys find out about pussy. She's Cruella de Vil if 101 Dalmatians was her answer to how many people have you slept with? She looks like a cartoon parrot and talks like a cartoon pigeon. Her accent is smoking section of a Greek diner. I don't know her first TV credit, but something tells me it was on the news telling a reporter how she'd killed the son of Sam. My favorite album of hers is called She's So Unusual. The more literal title being She's Off Her Medicine. She looks like Shari Lewis fucked lamb chop. She looks like a scientist at the fruit roll-up factory. like she injects the juice into gushers or something. She hiccups so much in the song Goonies Are Good Enough. I thought I was listening to Jimmy Uso at a traffic stop. How much she hiccups. She's Miss Frizzle if the magic school bus started by huffing its gasoline. She has more gravel in her voice than Darby's uncle has in his skull.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Thank you. She's Lady Gaga if instead of a poker face, she had slot machine lung. Her song Money Changes Everything is about the outcome of Vince McMahon's court cases. The song, did you know the song True Colors inspired the rainbow pride flag?
No.
Yeah, legitimately. I mean, the pride flag is because of the song True Colors, forcing leprechauns everywhere to end their pot of gold at the end of a rainbow stories with pause and no homo. Imagine a leprechaun saying that. That's fun, right? Time After Time is also the answer to the question, how often does Raw disappoint viewers? If you fall, I will catch you, said no one in an AEW trios match waiting for a dive. Some critics say her voice is too screechy. I say those critics have never met Seth Rollins. Some boys take a beautiful girl and hide her away from the rest of the world. The boy, Teddy Hart. Oh, daddy dear, you know you're still number one, say the children of Bret Hart every time the PWI 500 list drops. And in closing, her hair has more color than a Cody Rhodes match. That's it.
Nice.
All right, Scotty Chaps.
Robert.
Cyndi Lauper participated in WrestleMania because her true color was green. True Colors is also the name of the DNA test Hulk Hogan makes Brooks Dates take. Can't be too careful, brother. Lauper is half Italian and half German, though to listen to her voice, you'd swear she was Jewish. Cyndi had a hit song called She Bop, which was also the excuse Randy made Elizabeth use whenever she showed up with a black eye. Liz, what happened? Oh, that? Just a little she bop. Lauper's first album was called She's So Unusual. What made her so unusual was she was the first woman to hang out backstage in the WWF and not fuck a wrestler. She may be a mall rat, but she wasn't a ring rat. Not to disparage anyone, but you know the Mania feud between Wendy Richter and Fabulous Moolah is rough when Cyndi Lauper was the pretty one. I'm joking. I don't want to say Lauper was unattractive, but she was the only woman allowed in Jimmy Snuka's dressing room. Lauper's biggest hit song was Girls Just Want to Have Fun, which was also Jerry Lawler's defense in his rape trial. Cyndi Lauper did a theme song to the movie Goonies, a charming film about a group of kids who go on an adventure with a backwoods deformed monster, or as Dark Side of the Ring calls it, the Grizzly Smith story. Cyndi Lauper was a huge star. She was Bad Bunny to a generation of people afraid of Bad Bunny. Lauper wrote the score to the Broadway show Kinky Boots. Kinky Boots is how the Velveteen Dream describes his ring gear. Lauper's face can best be described as Shotzi Blackheart trying to take a shit. And when she does take that shit, you can buy a photo of it for $20. Cyndi Lauper was an icon who brought together the WWF and MTV, two entertainment powerhouses Scott Chaplin has never heard of. Lauper participated in the WWF because her boyfriend, David Wolf, was a huge fan, and because he was too much of a coward to just ask for anal, he got her at WrestleMania. In the end, Cyndi Lauper isn't in the WWE Hall of Fame, and using China logic, the worst thing that pops up when you Google her is that she was on Mad About You. All right, that's it.
All right, I'll go. Today we're roasting Cyndi Lauper, who helped take wrestling to the mainstream, which is why she should be in the WWE Hall of Fame, but she is also an outspoken human rights activist, which is why she never will be. Cyndi got wrestling on MTV and was a featured part of WrestleMania, but hey, Drew Carey lasted a minute in a Royal Rumble so he could plug his improv comedy pay-per-view. He gets in. She doesn't. It's just not good business to put her in the Hall of Fame. Just imagine how mad Saudi Arabia would be if Vince honored the singer of Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Her relationship to wrestling began when she befriended Captain Lou Albano on a plane. People walked past him saying, "Who the fuck is that loud, obnoxious, poorly dressed weirdo?" sitting next to Captain Lou Albano. She was huge in the 80s with her infectious persona, and that persona was basically Jersey housewife with a career supported by her mob boss. She's like if Harley Quinn went to the school from Fame. She looks like Oscar the Grouch's girlfriend. She looks like if Madonna fought in the Salvation Army. Honestly, making fun of Cyndi Lauper is low-hanging fruit. Low-hanging fruit is also the only people that still buy Cyndi Lauper albums. With the look and voice she had, there were two paths for her. Massive 80s pop star or valet in Rob Black's XPW. She's very much like pro wrestling in that she was really popular for a few years in the 80s and no one gave a shit about her by the early 90s. She had a resurgence in the 2000s, winning Tony Awards for Kinky Boots. It's great that she was busy again, so she had an excuse when Hogan called and asked her to help Brooke with her music career. Cyndi Lauper is what happens when someone born female decides to dress like a drag queen. She had a song called Time After Time, which is about Jey Uso's history with DUIs. Finally, it's really amazing at the height of her popularity. Wherever she went, she pushed pro wrestling. She talked about it on The Tonight Show. She brought Hogan to the Grammys. And everyone was like, hey, can you not talk about wrestling so much? It's fucking embarrassing, which is something every host of this podcast hears all the time from our wives.
That's great. All right. I don't know if you guys knew this, but Lauper actually rewrote Girls Just Want to Have Fun to make it more feminist. Originally, the hit was titled, Bitch, I'm Trying to Relax. Sorry, Girls Just Want to Have Fun is actually Ric Flair's rebuttal to Darkseid. She called her Matthew Shepard song Above the Clouds because Around a Fence wasn't as catchy. She wrote Kinky Boots about Charlie Price, who inherited a shoe factory and formed an unlikely partnership with a drag queen. So basically what would happen if Ryan Murphy told the story of Pat Patterson and Vince McMahon. She looks like the art teacher who's fired for making the kids draw Jesus. She was a guest on Cher's Dress to Kill tour, so she showed up without a mask. But she was inducted into the Long Island Hall of Fame, Music Hall of Fame, because you can't keep inducting Billy Joel. She was part of the Today Show series, Shine a Light series, which I thought was Ronan Farrow's expose on Matt Lauer's Intern. I don't know if you guys knew this, but there's a Cyndi Lauper Barbie to celebrate the 1980s. And if you leave it out in the sun, you get the Cyndi Lauper of 2021. She looks like Rod Stewart's fairy godmother. Kids threw rocks at her growing up, which was the only way Eugene could come. Her song True Colors was inspired by a scientist's journey to find out what Sammy Sosa's supposed to look like. She tried to find herself in the woods with her dog Sparkle, which sounds like a haiku Jeff Hardy leaves his daughter. She won the inaugural MTV Music Award for Best Music Video, which were the Slammies for people who watch their friends die of AIDS. In the 70s, she thought she'd never sing again. In the 80s, we built a time machine in search of the 70s. She quit IHOP after being sexually harassed, which is actually how they welcome you to the team at Waffle House. And finally, her song, She's So Unusual, is the only top 10 song to mention a gay porn magazine. But we'll never forget that hit single that came in at number 11 in the summer of 1968, Chode Hunter Quarterly by Karen Carpenter. All right. That's
so dumb.
That's so dumb. It was so dumb. I really thought Quarterly is the one. I was like, this is. Did you do that Cyndi Lauper, Rod Stewart, fairy godmother joke, Scott? Did you have something? Okay. Every time I do a joke, sometimes I'm like, did somebody else write this?
No other human being on the planet could have come up with that, and that's why we love you, Dan, and we're happy you're here.
Come on, guys.
Well, hey, let's get to the show and hell of it all. And today,
I wanted to have a joke about something like girls just want to have fun, and then go, enters Greta Thunberg. But I didn't know how to make that a joke. You know?
That's so funny though.
Yeah. Something about her ruining that party by entering.
That's fine. Look, I mean, like this music video is in Show and Hell, but it could easily be in Ain't That Swell. It is Cyndi Lauper's The Goonies. The Goonies Are Good Enough. It's a lot of fun, a lot of familiar faces. Iron Sheik, Classy Freddie Blassie,
Piper, right?
Yeah, Fabulous Moolah is genuinely scary in this, and made me wonder when I saw Moolah, did like Mama Fratelli turn this down? What happened? And I also am like, how is the Iron Sheik still alive? I would never think out of all these guys that Sheik would be the one that was still kicking, you know, because he looks old here. He looks old here, and this is like, 35
yeah,
years
he's the only
ago.
one still alive in this.
Yeah.
I think Sheik's Twitter account is like the Psycho Son, just like sitting in a rocking chair, dressed like the Sheik.
You're not far off.
Yeah,
you're not far off. Really, it is actually is. And at the very end, we get a weird special cameo by Steven Spielberg. Scott, I bet
the Goonies, the Goonies are in it. It's the Goonies and these wrestlers, and the Goonies is one of my favorite movies ever. So this kind of falls under one of my favorite songs ever. It's definitely been on every variation of a music thing I've had, like I had it on cassette as a little boy, and then I had it on CD, and then on my iPod, and now it's on my iPhone currently. It's like a song that will follow me forever, that makes me happy always. And the music video is a blast, and it's a time where it appeared like they put so much money into music videos, and where music videos felt like an event. I mean, this is like an episode of a thing, and it's a huge movie, and they have the characters in it acting as the characters on the set with Cyndi Lauper. It's really, really cool, and it just feels like an event. It feels like you're watching something that was really cool at the time.
Robert, what do you think of the music video?
I mean, it's a music video where Roddy Piper and Thanos are on the same video. That's fucking awesome. There's something. This combines a lot of like weird niche things that I always loved. I used to love when there was a soundtrack for a movie and they would force the music video to be about the movie that it's related to, and then the song becomes infinitely better than the movie. And there's no real connection. Like I used to love that Seal's "Kiss from a Rose" was from the Batman Forever soundtrack. Yep. So when you see this music video, it's like really confusing that, this video is for this song. The video is like 7.5 minutes long. There's a whole story arc to it. And then there's that part in the middle where it's just a musical interlude and just clips from the Goonies movie that you could easily fast forward through. But otherwise, it's a very avant-garde, disturbing thing. I don't think Fabulous Moolah was the creepiest part. I think Nikolai Volkov milking a plastic cow while singing the Russian national anthem while there's all this chaos going on is disturbing. Like you're just looking at this like, what the fuck am I watching? And I forgot Spielberg's in it, like the Tony Khan of his generation. And it's weird that it ends on a cliffhanger that I don't think they ever paid off. They're like, stay tuned for part 2.
No, it's actually, I believe it's a 12-minute video.
Oh, is that what it is?
In 2 parts, maybe?
I watched part 2, man.
I couldn't find part 2, and I just assumed maybe it never happened. And
it did. And
it's very real, yeah.
You want to know how
Andre
it ends?
shows up, yeah.
Yeah, but how does it end?
Fucking Andre, Andre shows up like in armor.
Yeah.
And it fucking rules, and
beats the
he
shit
fights
out
off
of
the bad guys.
Yeah,
so I would have had the Goonies Princess Bride crossover that we all deserved.
You know it.
Yeah.
Mike, what do you think of this music video?
Oh, I fucking loved it, man. This was awesome. Like, I think this is the happiest I've been watching a clip on this show. This is like, I've never seen this video. Like, I know the song. I mean, the Goonies, I think is one of just the best fucking movies ever. But watching this, I didn't realize how many wrestlers were going to be in it and how fun it was and how silly it was. And it's like Steven Spielberg is in this fucking video and Fabulous Moolah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, it's insane. Like I was saying, like my roast joke kind of, but there was at some point like, all right, you want to keep putting the wrestlers in things? Yeah. it's so like, but it's so like fun. And but the one thing that it's missing, I really wanted to see Sloth and Andre team up together. That would have fucking ruled. And there's no Sloth in this, and there's no Fratellis either. So that was a bit disappointing.
Mike, I have a question as a Goonies fan. Does it bother you at all that it's always Spielberg and never Richard Donner? Like, it feels like Nightmare Before Christmas, but everyone's convinced it's directed by Tim Burton, even though he didn't direct it. Like, it's just, this is one of those weird things where even when Spielberg showed up in this, it's like,
did he help at all direct? Because I know with Poltergeist, which is the guy who did Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Spielberg kind of stepped in because the studio didn't like what he was doing.
Spielberg came up with the story for the Goonies, like that was his thing, and he produced it. But it's one of those where like Richard Donner is a fairly big name, and he just kind of gets marginalized in the Goonies lore.
No, it's a good point. I mean, it's interesting. Like when Donner passed, I think it was either earlier this year or last year. I'm sorry to remember, but the guy who played Chunk, who's like an entertainment lawyer, Jeff Cohen, he said that Richard Donner paid for his law school.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
It was July of this year. He passed
July
away.
5th.
Okay, yeah.
Wow.
That sucked.
How much money did I didn't realize that guy had that much money, but
Dude, he made Lethal Weapon, all the Lethal Weapons.
yeah, you're right. All Hollywood money.
It made Superman and kind of made Superman too. No.
Yeah. All the good parts of Superman 2.
Yeah, Superman 2. So Superman 2 is like one of the better comic book movies.
Yeah, it rules.
It's
but
awesome.
this is just like pure fun, silliness shit. Like it's interesting with music videos. Like MTV starts in 1980, and they don't have enough content, so they outsource it to like the European artists, and that's kind of how you get like the popularity of new wave. And I feel like Cindy was like one of the first like American pop stars who like really fucking got like what the potential of music videos and MTV was. I mean, it's like, because this video makes wrestling look fun, makes you want to see the Goonies, and makes Cyndi Lauper look awesome.
Yeah, man, it's a big winner. This is the nicest roast we've done so far, even though some of those jokes were pretty mean. We're gonna get to I was gonna do We Must Hate Ourselves World Cup yet, but Tyler hasn't seen the videos, so he's watching those now, which means that instead we're gonna get into Dynamite. We're gonna get into Dynamite or Dud. We're gonna talk about last night's Dynamite, or 2 nights ago. You guys are getting this Friday. Hour 1, Bryan Danielson versus Rocky Romero. Inner Circle promo, a women's triple tag, Jungle Boy versus Anthony Bowens. Oh wait, I added way too much on the. No, this is right.
No, Tony Khan added way too much.
Anthony Bowens, Hangman package, Bobby Fish and Super Click promo backstage, Eddie Kingston and CM Punk pull apart, and Wheeler Utah versus Wardlow. Mike, what did you think of this first hour?
Yeah, this was fun. I kind of like, it fits the Danielson character, I guess, of like, I get prepared for wrestling by wrestling other people, so I was okay with that. Otherwise, it's like, all right, you're bringing this guy in and he loses, and I know that he's a New Japan guy, but I don't really know or care about him. So I mean, but the match was solid. The Dan Lambert putting Chris Jericho in the walls and say it's a Boston Crab, 1975 Florida Championship Wrestling, the real Rocky Johnson, was so like perplexing to me, because it's like, it's obviously like a dig at the walls, but also like a dig at the Rock. But it's like, he's the Rock's son, so he kind of is the real like Rocky Johnson. And also, the Rock has never claimed to be Rocky Johnson, but Rocky Johnson spent a lot of time claiming to be the dad of the Rock.
I feel like you came up with this in your room with like note cards and like different lines leading into note cards and shit.
It was very weird. Well, it's like, what's interesting is that it did show that Lambert is the biggest nerd out of all of these nerds, but it's just, he's a different type of nerd. So he just needs other nerd wrestlers. Like he needs like guys to show up in like amateur wrestling outfits or just like, I mean, he should be with FTR is what should be happening. Because if they're both like, we like 70s and 80s wrestling and original wrestling, then they should be together and not, you know, Lambert with the toy vlog guy and the podcast dude.
So you want to make FTR look smaller?
Yeah, but they're still legit fighters. You know, they have like mixed martial arts backgrounds and
yeah, but they're not presented as such.
Yeah, but who cares? That's what they have. It's 2021. It's like people who like comic book movies are everybody. It's that's the only movies they make now.
But Scott, if he hates millennials and he thinks they're all dweebs, why is he with 2 millennial dweebs who dress like millennial dweebs?
No, they're not dweebs.
But they dress like it. They act like it.
I think he would say they dress cool, even though we think they dress like dweebs. They dress proper, you know. That those are expensive clothes they wear.
Okay.
They just look like douchebags.
God, what do you think of this first hour?
Yeah, I like the first hour a lot. I mean, dude, the Okada references just in the first match alone, I was just fanning myself, freaking out. Yeah, the first hour.
Doesn't Daniel Bryan look like 2002 Triple H next to Rocky Romero? It is crazy. I've never seen Daniel Bryan look that physically intimidating.
Dude, also he's shredded now. He's
shredded, man.
Now. Yeah,
it's great. If he had done this in WWE, maybe they would have pushed him.
It was so good. The American Top Team thing, I didn't think it was going to be good. And then when I watched it, I did like it. You know, it was quick and easy. There was a beatdown. Dan Lambert didn't say too much. The power bomb looked like shit, which I thought was good. You know, he's supposed to be bad at it, you know. Yeah,
safest power bomb I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was fun. The women's triple threat, right? The trios match that was during this. I thought there were some cool spots in that. Ty Conti really impressed me in that match. That Ty KO move is really, really great.
She's got fire, man. She's got babyface fire. Like, she will be a champion. She's not going to be a champion from this time around, but she will be a champion for him.
Yeah, and Jungle Boy Anthony Bowens was great. The caster rap was again a blast. Yeah, dude, you know why I liked this? And this was also, they like drizzled in a few video packages. A lot of this show was like nobody who was even gonna be on the pay-per-view was in the matches.
Well, we did get a Matt Hardy running.
Well, yeah. Wait, that was this hour? No, right?
It was the end of the hour.
The Wheeler Yuta Wardlow, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I liked that Wardlow obviously was so dominant. I liked that the crowd was cheering for him like crazy. He does look great too. Like, those moves look fierce as hell. He looks awesome. But yeah, I did not need that Matt Hardy shit, and I do not need to see a Matt Hardy Orange Cassidy match on Rampage.
Well, I will say this, Scott. If they have to do it, I'm glad it's on Rampage and not the pay-per-view.
For sure.
Yeah,
Robert.
Yeah. So first of all, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Orange Cassidy and them are members of Chaos. They didn't mention that enough during the first match.
Yeah.
It was, and it's fun because they told the story of that Romero and Bryan trained back in 2002. There was a reason for it. That's fine. The inner circle thing, it worked in that at least now the intrigue for the matches that they was like, Dan Lambert's not only going to win, but he's going to pin Chris Jericho. So now you have a reason to kind of care about what the end of this match is. I'm not super excited for Ty Conti, Britt Baker. That 6-man tag didn't make me any more interested in it. I really like Jungle Boy Anthony Bowens. Thought that was a really fun match, though. I was worried the announcers were leaning very heavy into Bowens is doing really well on his own. I don't want them to split the Acclaimed up. I think there's something to them as a duo. It was fun to see Bobby Fish do that. This is just like, it's like
Owens is proving ground because he just had a match with Bryan, right?
Yes.
He's been getting all these high profile matches.
Getting big matches. The announcer talking about how great he's doing on his own. Those are all sort of flashes of we're going to split them in the same way. Putting Fish and Cole together is basically just begging Kyle O'Reilly to please just leave NXT and come here when your contract's done.
It's up in December, right?
It's up in December. So this is the ultimate, like, yeah, you're going to come here. The Hangman Omega video package would have been cool, except the music they played, and I went back to listen to this twice, was Itsy Bitsy Spider, which was so... Yes, they're like, yes, went up the water spout. It's so fucking creepy and weird.
Cool.
No,
Yeah,
no, it's not cool. You played Itsy Bitsy Spider for your Hangman Omega video package. Scott,
Dude.
sorry, Dan. I thought that was a Scott.
No, I'm going to defend
No, I
this.
know it was you, but I'm just being a dick. The Eddie Punk package was awesome. It was what WWE used to do great, which was using the IWA footage to tell their story. And then sprinkling in that promo from last week from Rampage, which I'm sure will be somebody's high point, of Eddie yelling at Punk, "Nobody wants you here." It's such a cool fucking story. I enjoyed Yuta, Wardlow, and the power bombs, and then when Hardy and then came in after, I was like, "Oh fuck, I don't care about them. I'd rather watch Yuta and Wardlow. Wardlow's a star, and compared to the Hardy family office, Wardlow's an even bigger star."
Yeah,
it's
and
going to be interesting to
it's
see
important.
WWE.
sorry.
No, it's no worries. It's going to be interesting to see him if he gets to WWE because he is big for AEW, but I don't know if he's big for WWE.
He's not. This is one of those. It's like we'll talk about him later, but it's a lot like Mike Awesome, where Mike Awesome was a massive giant in ECW, and in WCW and WWE, he's just another guy.
He was that 70s guy, to be exact.
He was that 70s guy, but you put Wardlow against, standing next to Omos, and Wardlow's not going to look super tall.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, when we used to make fun of AEW more, and I think we all like it more now. It's funny when you see the Hardy family run in, and you're like, oh yeah, this was like 30 minutes of this fucking show for like 6 months, like, and they've done a great job of having this newer talent and using them instead of that crap.
Yeah,
it's not good. I mean, do you remember when we had Matt Hardy versus Christian, and it felt like it was like a 2-month feud?
I remember Christian. He used to be in AEW.
Yeah.
It's got to be so stressful to be Tony because like these are all his heroes growing up, and now he's got to like micromanage their time and shit.
Yeah, he's got a Humpty Dumpty Matt Hardy again after every episode. Yeah.
All right, hour 2, we have a Punk and Kingston pull apart. Leo Rush and Dante Martin versus Lee Moriarty and Matt Sydal. A fantastic Miro promo. Pac versus Dax Harwood, and a really fun contract signing between Kenny Omega and Adam Hangman Page. Scott, what do you think about the second hour?
I challenge anybody to find an hour of wrestling this year, of television wrestling this year, that was as great as this. There was nothing wrong with this hour. Every match was unique in its own way.
Part was a little rough.
Wait, which part?
The pull apart is the only thing. I mean, the pull apart was rough. Like,
wait, which pull apart?
Between Punk and Kingston, and the
one where Eddie Kingston was no match for Ruby Riott.
No, they're friends, and there was other people blocking them.
They're friends.
Well, they are friends.
The way he ran to fucking Punk was so hilarious.
Yeah, that's how fat losers run. Eddie Kingston's a fat moron. Like, what are we talking about?
I know.
It's awesome.
Every weed dealer in high school that I knew.
It was so good, dude. You try to run while like your pants are halfway down your ankles. It's fucking the best.
He does have like a real TJ Maxx style. I agree. I mean, I thought it was a great hour. Dude, if you add 60 pounds to Leo Rush and he's either the biggest professional wrestler in the world or an NFL wide receiver, like the only thing that's keeping that guy back is his fucking his size. And also I want to shout out probably my favorite moment in the hour, which was Brandon Cutler fucking up the rolling suitcases when they were leaving the building. That was the best.
I loved them showing all of them leave the building. I thought was great.
That was great.
That was a cool touch, yeah.
Scott, what do you think? I mean, Mike, what do you think of the second hour?
No, this was fantastic. I'm usually I contract signings. I often feel like it's throw a dart at a dartboard of, all right, what do we do? People already want to see this. How do we get to the end? But it really worked. I mean, I honestly thought that Don Callis had been canceled. So I was like, I just thought he was like gone and done, and he wasn't an Impact anymore, and he wasn't here anymore. And so I legit was surprised to see him. Because I think they even said it's like been 6 weeks, and I just thought that was it. But the blood thing was fucking awesome. The signing in blood was really cool. And I mean, that tag match, it was so like the spectacle of it. You know, Moriarty and Martin starting out. Like, I often don't like, anything with Seidel, but even he was good in that. It was just like, it was to a level, like, it was so like car crashy, like in a good way, that like it fucking sucked me in. I watched that match like twice just to like understand what was going on. It was pretty amazing. And I mean, you got to really give them credit in terms of the new talent sometimes, where it's like, this was Moriarty's first time on Dynamite, and he looked like a fucking star. And this was just, it was like breathtaking. It was pretty incredible. So yeah, I think this hour didn't need to be much, and it way over delivered. It was a lot of fun. And the only thing I didn't like was, the Cody, like, I just don't need that tag match on the pay-per-view. I'd rather they just save it for a Dynamite or something. I think that the show felt like, the show felt built already. And I am a little like annoyed with the amount of times they do the lights go off and then someone appears. Like, the wrestlers should be prepared for that by now. They should stop being surprised. Bring a fucking flashlight.
That is actually a really funny thing if somebody's shown up, like, just brought out a flashlight.
Yeah.
Like, if Brandon Cutler brought out a flashlight, that would be fucking hilarious.
Oh, he needs to, yeah.
Yeah, because it just, they, if it's just Malachi, it's fine, but like, they've done it with other wrestlers too.
Yeah, no, I think the last hour I thought it was very good. My minor I love that tag match. I've been saying for a while, I thought Dante Martin's going to be a huge star. The only thing that was confusing to me and just bothersome was Lio Rush was so fucking entertaining in this, but he kind of forgot that he's supposed to be a heel. Like, there was a story they were telling that Dante Martin doesn't want to team with Lio Rush because Lio Rush is kind of being a bullying dick, that he's all about like a cryptocurrency and I'm going to guide you, but you're not supposed to trust him. And then he went out there and he was getting the crowd into it and pointing to the audience, and they loved him, and he was a massive baby face. And I'm just concerned what that's going to do for what the story is supposed to be, because they were setting up a pretty good story of Lio and Dante, and instead it was, Dante listens to Lio and they're triumphant. So maybe that's the new pivot, but it just felt kind of weird. The Miro thing, talking about, Daniel, Brian Danielson, like, I have to break you and send you back to your wife so my wife will accept me again, was fucking awesome. I loved Dax versus Pop.
He's my favorite promo of the year. I like him more than
Kingston. Killer. I love they don't let him wrestle and he just does promos. It's awesome. Like, that's what Eddie Kingston should do. But I love that the finish of the Dax Pac match was based on actual real ring psychology of Dax has a hurt shoulder and doesn't want to risk his big tag title match, so he taps right away. Like, that's great. That doesn't happen enough in wrestling, and the announcers sold it well.
That was great.
It was so smart. The only thing that was fucking stupid is Mike Lawrence's favorite wrestler, Cody Rhodes. Why was Cody already in the crowd?
Yo, this is what he does. He did this at my Newark show.
He just comes running in from the crowd to make a save while wearing his jacket, but got stuck because his jacket was too bulky and had to take it off.
That's the way to keep him babyface. The longer he took to get to that ring, the more people cheered.
Though, you talk about Eddie Kingston running. Penta and Phoenix's manager trying to hold the belts while running was one of the funniest things.
That was amazing.
He sprinted. It was like he'd never run before in his life, and it was awesome. And Mike, to your point, I Googled to see if Don Callis had gotten like let go in the middle of this segment. And then I'm like, this camera guy, like, the blocking is so shitty. And I was going to criticize AEW for like, you guys aren't blocking this well. And then they attack. I was like, that fucking got me. It worked. It was effective.
I knew was I the only one who knew it was him from the beginning?
Yeah. I just thought it was.
No, well, when they crossed, when finally the camera guy crossed into it, but
when he crossed, I'm like, either that's someone that's going to attack or they fucked it up. And I'm hoping it was an attack because I didn't want them to ruin them telling a really compelling story from a year ago to now, beat by beat. And then signing in blood is always, I mean, that's just a great, like, Dusty Rhodes wrestling staple. It works. It's effective.
And the
really
words they
stuff.
had for each other, I thought was great. I mean, I think they both just did a killer job of selling what this feud is, what it's been. Hangman referencing Ibushi, You know,
Yes.
that was my freaking highlight of the week.
More
I mean,
importantly
my
was
goodness.
Kenny Omega's suit choice. Like that was
Oh,
such
hell
a
yeah,
heel
man.
suit. Like that
Yeah,
was like
it's
Triple
great.
H 2003 style of my wardrobe's going to tell the story for me. If you watch this on mute and just saw these guys walk out, you're like, oh, that guy in the maroon suit dressed like an usher at a movie theater is the heel.
But you wanna make Scott happy. Bookend
No.
the show by mentioning Japanese wrestlers who aren't going to be there.
Well, hey guys, it's time for our full gear predictions. 2021 is going to be a big show. I'm really looking forward to it. Let's start out with the pre-show. Nyla Rose and Jamie Hayter versus Sheeta and Thunder Rosa. Who do you got, Scott?
Is the food guy here yet? Let me go check. And then me standing outside waiting for Uber Eats to arrive.
All right, I'm going to go with Thunder Rosa and Sheeta. Mike?
I mean, honey, like everyone said they were going to come. They're just not here yet.
And Honey is the dog. The dog is
Adina's been dead for 8 years.
All right, Robert?
I'm not watching live, and I'm not going to try to hunt this thing down, so I'll fake it when we talk about it next week.
All right. Cody and Pac versus Andrade and Malachi Black. Scott, who do you got?
My guess is that Cody and Pac lose. Cody takes the pin, and Pac is mad that this guy is such a fucking loser and he lost. You know, like that's the story going forward. Now Pac wants to fight this guy who messed up a win for him, and it's just Cody continuously messing up and pissing off Arn. So yeah, that's my guess.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. I think Malachi Black getting the pin on Cody again would be pretty good business.
Or Andrade, you know.
Yeah. Mike?
Listen, I know that the cable bill is charged to our joint account, but I put $50 of my own into the joint, so I am just paying for this, and you don't have
All
to.
right, God damn it. Robert?
It's a bit.
Talk about it, man. Take care about it.
No,
That's him talking to his mom.
Here's the thing. You've already done the Cody hit rock bottom and has now been redeemed because he showed up and worked out with Brock Anderson. So you can't really have him lose again. So the only viable things are either Pac loses this match for his team or Cody beats Andrade, because you can't beat Aleister Black.
The way Brock Anderson separated CM Punk is the same way Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise hug in Rain Man. Same exact physical motion.
No, we're not talking about Eugene just yet, Dan. Save it for later.
That's coming up. All right, Christian Cage and the Jurassic Express versus the Super Click. Who do you got, Robert?
Poor fucking Christian. This poor guy. It's got to be the Super Click. They lost their token match when they lost to the Dark Order in that fun wacky thing. They've got to win this year, and this has to be the impetus for Christian turning heel and finding something to do.
All right. Well, Mike.
Look, I don't know why Luke Perry's son is beating up that small child. No, I think I'm going to go with the Super Click here, because especially if what happens in the main event is what I think happens, you still kind of need to keep